And sometimes I see you waddling behind your funny-looking mother, and you seem so nice that I thought I'd come down and introduce myself, but now I'm nervous and I'm talking too much, and my name is Chit Chat, and I think I said that already." There was a pleasant silence. Bright Bill stood on one foot for a moment. Then the gosling took a deep breath and said, "It's very nice to meet you, Chit Chat. I don't think you talk too much. I think you talk just enough, and I like you, so let's be friends."
All right. So that was from Mrs. McGee. And today in grammar, you're going to be talking about dialogue and question mark. So dialogue is a conversation between two or more individuals or characters. And that's an example of what you might see when you're reading a book. A question mark is a punctuation mark used most frequently to indicate direction, quotations, or spoken words. So what you're going to be doing in just a little bit, when I finish this little video, you're going to go back to the slides that I have already put in the Schoology folders, marked grammar. You're going to go back and write dialogue, and I want you to write the definition: a conversation between two or more individuals or characters. And then I want you to go ahead and write quotation mark, a punctuation mark used most frequently to indicate direction, quotations, or spoken words. So this will need to be added in the grammar section of your notebook. Before I end this video, you're all going to receive this little piece of paper that you're going to need to highlight and then glue into our notes also. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit because it's about quotation marks. So quotation marks are at the very beginning and the dialogue tagged at the end. So for this example, we have quotation marks can be tricky, remarked Sarah. So the quotation marks are going to be right here at the front, telling us what that is. And then we have this comma, remarked Sarah. So that tells us who is doing the speaking. Quotation marks can be tricky, so just remember that they are what we put around dialogue between two characters or people having conversation. Another example of quotation marks is when somebody is saying something. So Sarah commented, comma, quotation. Quotation marks can be tricky. Then you have your ending punctuation and your ending quotation marks. So just taking your highlighter and highlighting this. So what we want to remember is when we have somebody who's saying something and then we put in quotations what they're saying, we're going to separate that with a comma, and then we're going to start our quotation marks. Can be tricky, our ending punctuation, and then our ending quotation marks. Okay? And then sometimes we're going to have that dialogue in the middle. So remember, quotation marks can be tricky, but I think I have them figured out. So in our head, we have somebody saying something. So we have our beginning quotation marks, what it is that they're saying. Quotation marks can be tricky, and we have our comma, and we have our quotation marks. Sarah stated, and she's not finished yet, so we have another comma, we have our quotation marks, but I think I have them figured out, our ending punctuation and our ending quotation marks. So just remember, quotation marks can be tricky, that it's different for depending upon where the quotation marks and the dialogue is happening. If it's at the beginning of the sentence where somebody is making a statement, then we're going to use a comma to separate who is making that comment. And then if it is if we start with somebody saying something, we have a comma and we start with our quotation marks. We give that dialogue, and then we have our ending punctuation inside the quotation marks. And then finally, if we have it in the middle, we have our quotation marks, we have our punctuation, which is the comma, we have the ending quotation marks, we have who stated that information, another comma, and then we have our quotation marks and our final punctuation inside the quotation marks. So lots of things to remember. When I get back on Thursday, we will go over this a little bit more so that we have a better understanding of it.